How is everybody doing out there? It is August the 15th, 2018. I'm going to read to you a passage from Genesis 1:26. Two of them, actually. Why not? Broaden the story a touch. God made the beasts of the earth according to their kinds, the livestock according to their kinds, and everything that crawls upon the earth according to its kind. And God saw it was good. Then God said, "Let us make man in our image, after our likeness, to rule over the fish of the sea, and the birds of the air, and the livestock, and over all the earth itself, and every creature that crawls upon it." That passage has been a contested thing like no other. I'm going to bring it up to some schools of thought. When the Anunnaki, their story came to light from the Sumerians, there's a vast percentage of the critics, I guess, would say that yes, it was the Anunnaki that created man. I'm going to give you the answer tonight as to who it was, and it's mind-blowing, absolutely mind-blowing. I had finished my video on the Rapture, and been working on it for 2 years, and I just threw it in the garbage. Yeah, that's smart, eh? I'm going to give you, in my last message, I think this was one of my last, it's a 360-degree view on life. And I will give you the answers of the end times, the best way that I know well. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to change the mindset, and I want to see what you guys think. If you want to see death, doom, and gloom one way, or if you want to see what I believe is the real version of our existence another way. If you don't like it, click 8. If you like it, click like. And we'll go from there. Now, I'm going to go completely 360 here off topic. And I'm going to go to Sadhguru. He is an Indian mystic. He is my soulmate. There he is right here. I know what you're thinking. That's because he's wise. I was like, no, we're both brown and hairy. So, you know, I found a soulmate. I want you guys to watch. This is a rapid fire round because if you guys have ever looked at Sadhguru, and I hope you have, because it can give you some amazing answers in your life that you would have never considered. And unfortunately with Christianity, it has this lopsided view of the world that it's just what that Bible told you and that's it. Well, I'm going to blow your mind at the end of the show. So let's take a look at what Sadhguru has to say. This is really funny. I really like it. And I think it's about 20 minutes. I hope he doesn't mind. We're all going to be dead soon, Sadhguru, so, you know, don't put like a strike against me. I'm just using him as reference. So I'll send you, coupons or something. But let's see what he has to say. It's really entertaining. I really like this.
I'm going to take the liberty, Sadhguru, to do what I normally do on my television show, which is a rapid fire round. Normally the end of this round…
When I was young, I watched a lot of, Wild West movies.
Right.
So when you fire, I also fire, all right?
No, but… No, I promise you, this is not that kind of… You're not in my line of fire at all. I will not take the liberty of being that person. These are just quick questions which when I ask for one word, you have to stick to that. Because sometimes you have a tendency of not exactly answering the question asked. But you give such a profound and prolific retort back that it makes you very satiated. But in this case, my only request is that if it's one word, then it's just one word.
Okay.
And the end of this, normally, you get a hamper. But in the absence of a hamper here, you already have something, right? Yes. So, or this beautiful bouquet that is right next to you. But so there's no hamper, but you will get my utmost gratitude. Thank you. All right, very simply, what is the one thing that is essential to living a balanced life?
Sense.
What is the one thing we must absolutely do away with in order to lead a balanced life?
Senselessness.
Yes. All right. I thought that was coming. First thing that comes to your mind when I say the following. The first thing, organized religion.
Madness.
Marriage.
Cohabitation.
Competition.
Stupid.
Money.
Useful.
Love.
Can I say a sentence?
Yes. I will allow that.
Most beautiful, but unfortunately crippling for most people. If I can little elaborate that, see, if something unpleasant cripples you, something nasty cripples you, it's acceptable. When something beautiful cripples you, it's a true disaster.
The guy is amazing. I love watching this work, and I'm going to give you a prime example. Angelina Jolie, if you guys haven't seen
Angelina Jolie,
what she looks like, you know, it is horrible that a human being could look like that, you know, with all that money and you can actually afford food. You know, you guys have seen it, but it's love. You know, for Brad Pitt that she has. Probably other psychological issues there, but you know, this is the amazing thing, right? When he's talking about that love is both a blessing and a curse. And so they say if you love something, sometimes you just have to let it go. Because it's not a gift. That's one of the interesting things he was saying there. It can be the best thing in your life or the worst trauma imaginable. That's the wild part about what he's saying. I just wanted to bring that up because I was looking at that article on her.
If you could ask one person, alive or dead, one question, who would you ask and what would that be?
I really sorted out all my questions because I did not spend time educating myself or doing anything. I spent my entire life sorting out every damn question I had. I've kind of run out of questions.
And you certainly have not run out of any answers, and you never will. Best advice you have ever received?
Nothing.
Never?
No. I never sought, nor did I receive. I made myself in such a way I'm incapable either of seeking advice or giving advice.
In an imaginary, completely hypothetical situation, if you had a day off with no commitments, no responsibilities, what would you spend the day doing?
Oh, there are a lot of things. This can't be one word.
No, it's not one word.
See, I have an indiscriminate sense of passion towards everything. There were lots and lots of things I did at one time, but these days, time is not allowing me to do that, so generally if I have little time, all I do is play golf. Because that's safe and within the city and I can get back in time for something else to be done. But if an entire day is left to me, which they have not done for a long time, they have not left it to me. If that happens, I will close my eyes and sit because that is the best, I am at my best when I truly have nothing to do.
What is one thing you'd like people to remember about you at the end of your life?
They must live so wonderfully that they don't even remember me.
If you found a way to travel through time, where would you go?
I'm kind of done with all those things.
Your universe visited already. You have visas for every part of this ecosystem.
If we can do some slow fire.
Yeah.
Because that's a question with many ramifications. This, for example, traveling in the world, we jetted around and now we want to travel to the Mars, we want to travel to another place. And now that's not enough, we want to travel into the past and future. All this longing is again exploratory in nature. Whether you go on vacation to Maldives or you want to go to Mars, it is fundamentally exploratory. Maybe you're also thinking of relaxation and pleasure and whatever, but essentially it's exploratory, otherwise why can't you do it here? It's something that you want to do, you want to touch another place. This longing is there in the human being only as long as the life that you are remains in a seed form. That is, it did not sprout and blossom. This happened when Adiyogi was expounding the science of yoga and talking about the nature of the cosmos, how it's related to your individual self and what you can do with it. Then the seven sages who were with him, they asked, what is the nature of this cosmos? How big is it? Where does it begin? Where does it end? So he laughed and said, your entire cosmos, I can pack it into a mustard seed.
Does that sound oddly familiar from the Bible?
The kingdom of heaven is likened unto a man which sowed good seed in his field. But while men slept, his enemy came and sowed tares among the wheat and went his way. But when the blade was sprung up and brought forth fruit, then appeared the tares also. So the servants of the householder came and said unto him, Sir, didst not thou sow good seed in thy field? From whence then hath it tares? He said unto them, An enemy hath done it. The servant said unto him, Wilt thou then that we go and gather them up? But he said, Nay, lest while ye gather up the tares, ye root up also the wheat with them. Let both grow together unto the harvest. And in the time of the harvest, I will say to the reapers, Gather ye together first the tares, and bind them in bundles, to burn them. But gather the wheat into my barn. The kingdom of heaven is like to a grain of mustard seed, which a man took and sowed in his field, which indeed is the least of all seeds, but when it is grown, it is the greatest among herbs, and becometh a tree, so that the birds of the air come and lodge in the branches thereof.
Hey, listen to what he says next.
Because your ideas of time and space are essentially because you're living within the framework of your intellect. If you cross that dimension, then there is no such thing as time and space. Everything is here and now. So, traveling through time, space, no, it means nothing to me, because it's difficult to express, difficult to articulate. If I sound little… I have a reputation of being very logical, but if I sound illogical or silly to you, you can blame it on my jet lag. I just come from United States after 6 weeks, so you can say, maybe he was jet lagged, that's why Sadhguru is saying something silly. But I'm fine. I'm saying this because you can't fit the universe into your silly little logic. It's today's human being is too overly enamored with their own logic that they're missing the entire life. The gamut of phenomena that's happening in the existence is missed because the only way you can accept anything is it has to fit in to the square hole of your logic. Anything that doesn't fit into your logic, you will reject. In this, you rejected the entire cosmos. In this, you have rejected the magic of life. You have become a slave of logic and completely missing the magic of life. So, this time, space, all this stuff is because intellectually you're trying to dissect the universe and try to understand this. Tell me, if you sit here, suppose you're very joyful, do you see, you will not know how the day passed off. And if you're depressed, do you see the day won't pass? So time is a consequence of the miserable nature of human existence. If you are truly blissed out and ecstatic, you wouldn't know what is a day, what is a year, what is a lifetime. You wouldn't know. There have been times I sat down, I didn't realize, I thought it's 5 minutes, but people gathered around and started molesting my feet. Because in their understanding, I sat there for many days or whatever. This idea of time and space is a very convoluted idea simply because people are stuck in the framework of their logic. My work, my fundamental work is to take people beyond the framework of logic into the true magic of existence, our own existence. But it takes a lot of time. Still, my reputation is of being very logically correct because I'm still trying to woo them. Still wooing them, For the real thing to happen, they will take a long time, unfortunately, because they have become such slaves of their logic.
What is…
When Dolores Cannon, if you haven't seen her work, I'm going to incorporate her with Sadhguru with a few other things to explain the end of our age. That's the amazing thing. And he said what I said on my previous shows, that all things are happening in real time. There is no past, there is no future. To change time into the past, you are still in real time. And I'll go over that more in a minute.
What's the first thing you notice when you meet a person?
Just everything.
Everything?
Everything. Past, present and future.
Is it more important to do what you love or love what you're doing?
One word or more?
The choice is entirely yours.
See, if you are an intelligent person, you will try to do what you love most. But if you're a genius, you will do just what is needed.
If you could be invisible for a day, what would you do?
You'll never see.
You wouldn't know?
With due respect, what is your biggest weakness?
Biggest?
What is your biggest weakness?
See, what normally people treat as weakness in their lives. Okay, let me give a normal answer. Why am I going into all this? Already you said I'm what? What is the word? Sashayed. My biggest weakness is I love danger. Without danger I cannot live. I need to do something which keeps me on the edge of being mortal, being alive and dead. I want to walk that line all the time. Every day I'm stepping on it one way or the other. Is it a weakness? I don't think so, but people think, Sadhguru, you shouldn't risk your life like this. But if there's no risk, I feel I'm not being… because most of the time in my life, for whatever I'm doing, I don't feel tested. It's only in moments of danger that I feel little tested. So my weakness is, I like to be stretched, you know. For all the time when I was riding across India and later on I started driving, my only wish was that to find a machine which will test my skills. Always found the damn things broke down if I took it to my limits. These days recently I'm beginning to get to do a few machines which are testing me, whether I can push it all the way or not. Maybe that's because of my age. If I had met them much younger, I think I would have
managed to work around them. The one thing the world doesn't know about you.
They don't know a thing about me.
In two references you made there, one was a little bit earlier, it's about emptiness. It's about never having the answer. When you think you know, you don't know. You're already dead, you're already cut off. That's the amazing thing that I'm going to bring up a little bit in time. And it's a preconceived notion. And it's really neat. I'll show you another show down the road. He talks, it's a story of a mystic. In the morning he says there is no God. Everybody runs out and tells everyone there's no God. In the afternoon he says there is a God. Everybody's like, what the hell? It's an amazing story, but it proves his point beautifully. As long as you are questioning, then you will find the answers. That's the big thing. You stop questioning, you will never get the answers. That's what he's getting at. If you think you know me, you don't know me.
That's a fact.
And the one thing you wish you could change about yourself?
Oh, I never looked at that. I could speak Hindi. No, I'm sorry, Marathi.
The one thing you wish you could change about the world?
Oh, a lot of things.
One.
Human beings.
Desperately in need of. So what would you consider to be your greatest achievement?
I don't think there's any. Because I always fall…
I want to cut in there. You seriously said what you could change about the world? Look at the world around you. Look at a cat. Look at an ant. Look at a rose. There's nobody in the world that would really ever want to change anything about them. You know, it's the human being that's the only flawed creation on this planet. That's the amazing part. Very subtle way to say it, but it makes perfect sense. You know, what's got to change? You know, the forest grows into us what looks like anarchy, but it's absolute perfection. It's humanity that's not in harmony with the rest of the universe. That's the amazing thing about it.
Fall awfully short of my own expectation of what I could do. So I never feel anything is an achievement.
Something you enjoy doing and wish you had more time for?
I wish I had more time because I made myself like this that there is nothing that I enjoy or do not enjoy. I make sure I enjoy everything that I do, including simply sitting quietly or talking to somebody or doing whatever, because my activity is not limited to one area, so many things. If you did not enjoy everything that you do and do not do, you will go insane trying to manage so many things. But I will not go insane because I enjoy being alive. Activities, anything is okay. Everything I do, I enjoy. Small things, big things, every kind of thing. Most profound things and silly things, I enjoy thoroughly.
Should us all. Lastly, in a biopic made on you, who would play you?
But who would make a biopic first of all?
No, there would be lots of interested people.
Maybe you should animate.
I don't think you would want that. Well, that is the end of the rapid fire, and you totally deserve the hamper that doesn't exist on this platform. But it's a virtual hamper that I've given to you with my love, gratitude, and deepest amount of respect. Thank you.
So, Sadhguru is amazing, actually, to listen to. And I recommend anybody at home, if you've never seen him, look him up. It's got the craziest subjects and very, very deep. He'll go always into his story, kind of the same way I do, but he hits you with a hard truth right at the end of it. It's a bang. But I love the way he works. I've only just picked up on him a short time ago. Now, I want to go back to the very start, talking about Genesis. I'm going to pull up something here. I'm just going to read it for you guys. Now, when the sages were refreshed, they opened up the book of life and read. They read the story of the life of man, of all his struggles, losses, gains, and in the light of past events and needs. They saw what would be best for him in coming years. They knew the kind of laws and precepts suited best to his estate. They saw the highest God ideal that the race could comprehend.
The soul is sacred for people. The body is filthy. How is it possible? Yes? That's what we've been doing, isn't it so? Saying God is sacred, creation is filthy. How is it possible? The very thought of God occurred to you only because you saw creation, isn't it? When you were born and you opened your eyes, you looked around, so much creation. Before you came here, so much has happened. Obviously, you did not create it. So you thought, there must be a creator. This is how you come to the creator, isn't it? The moment you thought there must be a creator, because you're in a human form, you thought it must be a big man. A small man like me cannot do all this. It must be a big man. Just 2 hands, how can it do so much creation? Must be 8 hands. Isn't it? Isn't it so? If you were a buffalo, you would be really thinking, God is a huge buffalo. Isn't it so? Yes or no? You go and ask a buffalo and see. A buffalo will insist, God is a huge buffalo. Maybe 4 horns. You know Idi Amin? You heard of Idi Amin? The Uganda man? Idi Amin declared, God is black. I agree with him. If a white man can have a white God, why can't a black man have a black God? But both those people are confused. We know God is brown. Because he visited us, you know. Some time ago, I was talking to a group of people in Nashville in Tennessee, and I was telling them a joke. In the joke, I just referred to God as Him. Immediately a few ladies stood up. Do you believe God is a man? I knew where it's going. I said, see, see, I'm only telling you a joke. It doesn't matter. You said Him. Do you believe God is a man? They take the jokes very seriously. Now women are arguing, God could be a woman. Such problems exist only in those cultures. In India, we have man God, we have woman God, we have cow God, we have monkey God, we have everything. Every kind, crawling one, creeping one, flying one. Because we foresaw all the problems of the future. See, when man was the most powerful force on the planet, man was naturally God. Now women are also gaining in their power, so women are questioning, why can't it be a woman? So tomorrow, suppose dogs gain a lot of power, which they're gaining. So dogs will ask, why not a dog god? Actually, the spelling also is close, you know. He seems to be closer than you, isn't it? So your idea of God is just an exaggerated version of yourself, isn't it? Your idea of God is just an exaggerated version of yourself. See, you are still not able to define yourself, isn't it? Whatever definition you put on yourself is not correct. Any kind of definition you put on you, it is not enough to describe this one. When this small piece of creation is like this, the source of creation, how are you going to put a definition on it? You cannot define it, you cannot understand it, you can only dissolve into it. You can experience it, you can never know it, you can't make knowledge out of it. Whatever knowledge you have about God is just pure nonsense, cultural nonsense. Depending upon which kind of culture you are in, that kind of God you have, isn't it? It can only be experienced. Experience does not mean you can eat it or you can grasp it. No, you can experience only by dissolving in it. There is no other way. So, we are just looking for methods of dissolution so that we can experience something far bigger than ourselves.
Upon the 7 postulates, these sages were to formulate the great philosophy of life and worship of the coming age must rest. Now Mengsti was the oldest sage. He took the chair of chief and said, "Man is not far enough advanced to live by faith. He cannot comprehend the things his eyes see not. He yet is child, and during all the coming age he must be taught by pictures, symbols, rites, and forms. His God must be a human God. He cannot see a God by faith. And then he cannot rule himself. The king must rule, the man must serve. The age that follows this will be the age of man, the age of faith. In that blessed age, the human race will see without the aid of carnal eyes, will hear the soundless sound, will know the Spirit God. The age we enter is the preparation age. In all the schools and governments and worship rites must be designed in simple way that men may comprehend. And man cannot originate. He builds by patterns that he sees. So in this council we must carve out pattern for the coming age." Getting to know the origin of the pyramids yet? And we must formulate the gnosis of the empire of the soul, which rests on 7 postulates. Each sage in turn shall form a postulate, and these shall be the basis of the creeds of men until the perfect age shall come. Then Mengsti wrote the first. All things are thought. All life is thought activity. The multitude of beings are but phases of the Great One, thought made manifest. Lo, God is thought, and thought is God. Then Vidyapati wrote the second postulate. Eternal thought is one. In essence it is two, intelligence and force. And when they breathe, a child is born. This child is love. And thus the triune God stands forth, whom men call Father, Mother, Child. This triune God is one, but like the one of light, in essence he is seven. And when the triune God breathes forth, lo, 7 spirits stand before his face. These are creative attributes. Men call them lesser gods, and in their image they made man. And there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. So who was Meng Sti? Meng Sti was one of the teachers of Christ. I'm going to quote, near Lhasa, temple of teaching with a wealth of manuscripts. Jesus was to acquaint himself with them. Meng Sti, a great sage of all the East, was in this temple. The real name of Jesus. There's a veil that's going to be lifted across the globe. You know, what Rome did to the scriptures is you know, a lot of people ask me what faith, what religion I am. Because I was raised Christian does not make me Christian. I have absolute trust in Jesus now because I found the truth of Christ. And where did these scriptures come from? And how did they know these things? Instead of just taking what the internet tells me, I went out and studied. A most beautiful explanation you could ever imagine sitting right there. You know, we would think, oh, it's the Anunnaki, they're demons. This is why I told you I'd take you on my journey. I'll say the things I used to say, but in the end I'll bring it back to what I know to be the truth. Because that's the amazing part that explains, you know, the triune of God. And there's so much to tell. And that's why I decided to change. Maybe use a little bit of genius and say exactly what needs to be said in exactly the right way at the end. So I'm going to leave the show at that. Keep it short here for tonight, but so in the coming time, I'll give you a different perspective on what's to come. And I think one that'll give you far more answers than you probably ever could imagine. I hope you do like it. Talk to you guys later. Love you lots. Nani Beaver out.
Essentially in your life, this is all it is. What the world will throw at you, it is not 100% your choice. To some extent we can control, that's about it. World may throw anything at you. We don't know what it will throw at you. It may throw disease at you, it may throw death at you, it may throw bullets at you, it may throw shame at you, it may throw all kinds of things. But what you make out of it is 100% yours. Now, this one thing, if you take charge, no matter what world throws at you, you will turn it into your well-being. Then, where you go, what kind of situations you live, whether you go to heaven or hell, doesn't matter because whatever is thrown at you, you know you will turn it into well-being. This quality is what we are worshipping. This quality is what is worth worshipping because this is true with every one of us. If world throws nastiness, you will become nasty. World throws bitterness, you will become bitter. World throws anger, you will become angry. This is the way most human beings live. Because he lived above that, we said he is godlike. But what happened in their life? The physical events of their life, if you look at it, it's one big tragedy. At the age of 32, you got nailed, had a terrible death. You call that a successful life? No. But we bow down to him because it seems We don't know. But we believe, or people have believed always, that even when he was nailed, he said, they know not what they're doing. Forgive them. For that we bow down to him. Not because he got nailed. Because getting nailed is not a successful life, isn't it? But even if you nail him, he did not lose his quality. For that we bow down. So that's all that matters to us, whether they existed or not. That they are an inspiration for you, whether everything that's said about them is true or not. Even this is not your problem. You're not a historian, all right? You just need some icon to move towards a better way of existing for yourself, that's all. What does it matter? Krishna did not exist, Jesus did not exist, what does it matter to you? 2000 years ago, whether a man lived or did not live, or it's just a figment of somebody's imagination, what does it matter? It is the quality that matters, isn't it? We recognize these qualities as great qualities, in some way trying to emulate them to whatever extent one can. That's what we're looking at.
Could you tell us about the Akashic records?
Akashic?
Yes.
That's what we call it internet today.
Were you put into a school to go the systematic way, and did you keep up with it?
Do I look that educated? Don't insult me like that. Actually, you know, when I go and stand in the line, in the immigration lines, and particularly in America, they look at me and say, "Can you speak English?" I say, because I have that uneducated look, it's not easy. Do you know what it takes to remain uneducated? Education is just 20 years of going somewhere and getting one certificate. To remain uneducated, it's very difficult. Because from the day you are born, your parents, every other adult, the school, the damn thing, everybody is trying to educate you about something that's not worked in their life. That's okay. Not financial arrangements or family arrangements or whatever rubbish you have built around you, these are all accessories to life. These are all frills. Frills are so much you're missing the skirt, that's the whole problem with you. Yes, so much frill. When you get up in the morning, what do you do first thing? What do you do? What do you do? What do you do the first thing in the morning? Phone. No, that's it.
Sadhguru, please accept my humble pranam. My name is Santosh. I am born in India but working in Africa for last… Extend this little further.
You asked a question, you shouldn't answer the question. You want
Thank you so much for the question, yeah.
One more cool question, cool it must be. Huh? What is? Cool line. When you get wet in the rain, it's cool. You know the language in 70s and 80s, everybody says it's a hot thing. If somebody is really good, you say, oh, he or she is hot. Now they say you must see this one, come here. Come here. You must see how she's laughing at every joke, huh? Look at her.
God doesn't necessarily exist, why do we need gurus? Why do we need Sadhguru?
So if you drive in an unknown terrain,
yes,
you use these days a GPS.
Yes.
Usually a strange woman will tell you, turn right. You turn right. She says, turn left. You say, turn left. She says, make a U-turn. You make a U-turn. Why? Simply because you're not familiar with the terrain. When you're in an unfamiliar terrain, it is sensible to take instructions.
Are you saying gurus are the new GPS?
Not new. Long time ago we've been, for a very long time, way before the GPS came. GPS means what? Guru Positioning System.
Hi everybody, it's Steve Olson with WSO. Hope you're having a great day. Listen, make sure you check out Leak Project. I did a great interview with Rex. It should be up here pretty soon. If it's not already, excuse me. And we had a great interview, guys. You got to check it out. And it's just good to get caught up with Rex again and see how he's doing. And what a great guy. I really enjoy hanging out with Rex. But anyway, I've got you here at Half Moon Bay, United States of America. I'm just going to play the footage for you. You see that? I wonder what that could be. It's very strange how it moves. It reminds me of Carlos Ferrata's description of what he observed back in the 30s and 20s from far away. You know, that thing just floating around and then it floats off. This comes from a subscriber who's been doing really excellent stuff. I don't have permission to share his name right now, but when I do, I'll share with who's doing this work. Been very, very helpful. Check out this one. Same kind of phenomenon. This strange reflection, whatever that might be. And then here's another one. It's just weird. Strange, right? And then we've got this kind of thing going on right now. People are photographing this kind of stuff all the time. A lot of people don't look at the photography because they've just been burned so many times on it. I refuse to give up on photography. I think that one of the best sources of information we have is people being able to send me images from all over the world, and that's literally what you're looking at here, from all over the world. Look at this. It's the phenomenon is just getting so raw lately. It's seeing, like one of the guys I think of right now is Seven. I'm going to try to get him on the show soon and stop it here for a second. Man, Seven Spalding on his web channel has been just killing it lately with his observations of the evening sky. And he's been catching a big orb. But let's talk about the moon again for a second, guys. Here we go. This is obviously a moon that is out of alignment. This is not normal. I don't care what Stellarium or anybody else says. That is just not normal. Why are we tilting like this? And why are we seeing this orb? You know, again, look at this. You know, I'm not trying to convince you of anything. I really am not. I'm just trying to show you what I've learned and what I've seen in my experience, and I'm relaying that to you on this channel. And it's something I want to talk to you about. I'm talking about you have to own your own truth. Steve Olson, WSO, I've gone on my own journey of truth. And I've been looking in all different places, as you know. Some people even call me flaky, but I will tell you this. I'm trying to keep an open enough mind that I can get as much truth in as I can and then sort it out. And I really just want to re-emphasize this, that people have to own their own truth. Here's why. Because what we've seen in the recent stuff in the social media and the shutting down of channels and the shutting down of YouTube and the malignment and the all the kinds of things that they do to truthers, it's critical to me that you don't believe any of what I'm telling you based on me. I want you to figure this out on your own. And if you come to a different conclusion than me, that's completely okay with me. It really is. I have to own my truth, and you have to own your truth. But as soon as you make a personality the source of your truth, let's say it's the Vatican, let's say it's Alex Jones, let's say it's Steve Olson, whatever that is. Do you know how easy it is for them to take one of us out? How easy it is for them to just completely obviate the individual based on character flaws or personality flaws or whatever have you? I would hate to think that any truth that I've shared got obviated or taken out of your mind because you hate me. Don't worry about Steve Olson. Just worry about the evidence. And if the evidence isn't sufficient for you to make a conclusion, that's fine. I'm just going to keep showing you stuff. And if you're interested in it and you want to pursue it yourself and you want to learn more about it, that's great. If you want to turn your head, that's fine too. It's all up to you. This one of the main spiritual principles that I've come to learn is the idea of free choice. And it's up to you to decide what is true for yourself, and it's up to you to decide what's right for yourself. Don't base it on a personality, okay? That's just a little message I wanted to get out there. Here's some interesting photography from the World Trade Center. We've been seeing a lot of interesting stuff, but just a strange line of objects across the skyline. And here we go in Australia again. We're seeing that weird weather phenomenon. But what's really interesting is when we see these circles appear, and this happens in Australia a lot. It's just another example. And what you see here is a circle showing up on the radar. Now remember, Doppler radar looks in an arc around the Doppler radar, so it could literally pick something up in near space. And I'm just wondering if that's what we're not seeing there, is just a Doppler return of something that's not too far from the Earth, but close enough that Doppler can get its hands on it. You know what I mean? Can hit it. Check out this strange backyard photograph. I've seen these before, these little twirly things that go through space. But how did you end up in a photograph with a block there like that? Just strange stuff. Check out this stuff from Alaska now. This is Alaska, Easter Dome, and we're seeing that phenomenon again, that red ball that just keeps flying across Alaska. And I don't know if there's any coincidence with the earthquakes going on up there, but this is certainly interesting stuff, right? Look at that orb going across the sky. And then I'm just going to kind of take a look at this one, and we're seeing this more and more, where we're seeing what appears to be an object on one side of the sun. Again, it's all over the world we're seeing this stuff, guys. And then I'll just end up the picture segment here with from Ken Rubenstein, one of my good friends, PLPF Ministries, and he, again, captures some really, really good stuff. So anyway, yeah, Leak Project, make sure you check that out today. And what I want to do here now is just take you to space weather, and let's take a look at what's been happening over the last couple of hours. And again, the same phenomenon on this completely debunked NASA instrument. I still can't get over that somebody would say. I just can't get over that somebody would say that you cannot trust this model because all it is math. These are inputs from GOES 14, GOES 13, and comms that are put into a model to show us what's happening around our magnetosphere. And as you can see, guys, that rear side pressure and magnetic presence and constant kind of column EMEs from the Earth continue unabated.
Other people
and again, it goes back to the old Occam's, the whole Occam's razor thing, right?
Or merging with their twin flame energetically, the ones that are true twins. So the ones that are dividing people right now, those aren't true twins. I'm just going to tell you. True twins create unity consciousness, especially through this ascension process, through this awakening. There are people that are very angry that I am not sharing certain information or I haven't shared the event information completely. Right after I said that, I was getting attacked by someone individually, so you can see the projections of people based off of their own triggers. If there's malice or ill intent, personal attacks, that's division, that's not unity consciousness. That's not what we came here as twin flames to do. We didn't come here to attack other people because we're angry that our ship didn't come pick us up. So you have to decide where these projections come from. You have to feel those energies. I can feel it right away. I can see it right away. That's something that we all have the ability to tune into. I think some people question things. Some will be led directly to the information. So if you're feeling something, you'll be directly led to where that's coming from. And that's through your guidance, that's through the higher self. So if you're a twin flame, you could be dealing with interference from different people that's trying to shift your vibration because your union is very close. Especially if you're feeling yourself merging with your twin with the chakras and vibrationally. There are people that will be projecting things at you, and they may not even be aware that they're doing it because it's happening at such an unconscious level. They don't understand why they're triggered for some people. And this can be even family, friends, co-workers. If you're in a relationship, most definitely. If it's not with your twin, most definitely. There's constant projections happening, mirroring happening, and it creates an imbalance. And then if you feed into the reactive energy, into the emotions, and feel that and allow it to take over, just know that you feeding into that reactive energy, because all energy is reactive, feeding into that, there's something feeding off of you. So anybody that's projecting because they're triggered, there's something feeding off of them through that triggered moment, that triggered emotions, especially if they're attacking others, like really attacking others. They have something feeding off that energy. And then if you react towards the energy and you allow those emotions to affect your vibration, there's something there feeding off of that as well. So staying balanced through everything is so important, not feeding in to those projections, those attacks, those energies, because that's giving your power away. So twins build one another up, twins unite, unity consciousness. They live from the heart chakra. Some of you are feeling a lot of activity in the heart chakra right now. You could be feeling a lot coming from the pelvis, the base of the pelvis, the base of the spine, all the way up to the crown chakra, tingling in the hands and feet, heat in the body, tingling throughout the body. You can feel physical displacement. You can feel as if you're hovering over your body, like you're in a lucid dream or feeling disconnected. You can feel left eye twitching, which is the pineal gland, connected to the pineal gland. I'm pretty sure that's what I channeled. You can look that up. I'm sure there's something connected to that. Or if someone knows specifically connected to that, that's what I've channeled as far as the left eye and twitching, and then what's happening with the autonomic system and the chakras and the activations as far as twin flames go. So there's a lot of merging happening astrally, so you may be seeing and experiencing your twin astrally or through vision, like your third eye, seeing them. Could even be awake when this is happening, having like visions, almost as if they're ideas or memories or thoughts. Your twin is feeling the same thing. Your true twin is feeling the same exact thing that you are in that moment. So if you are feeling certain emotions, they're picking up on that too. If you are feeling this love for them, unconditional love and longing for them, they're feeling that too. If you're feeling chakra activity, they are. If you're feeling the bursts of kundalini waves of energy, they're feeling that too. There's a lot that's taking place behind the scenes right now. There's a lot of twins that are coming into union after August. So this is all like preparation right now. I know people want to rush this. They want to connect with their twin. Some want to know who their twin is. They're still going through this process of trying to figure that out. Your twin will be brought to you. You and your twin will come together. Your true twin will come together. Things will unfold exactly as they're meant to, and it may seem very magical for a group of you the way it actually unfolds. So you may be expecting it one way, and it turns out to be unfolding in a completely different way, which is the beauty of the connection. A lot's happening in dream state right now as far as merging energetically. So and every time you're merging energetically, it's forcing things to be transmuted. It's forcing things to come up and be purged. So you can have emotions that come up, you can have thoughts that come up, triggers, things like that come up while you're having this activity and energetic linking with your twin. And this is just prior to physical union for many, because this is that transmutation that's taking place. So when you're coming into union, you're not doing that running and chasing dance that some of you have already done or you've been doing. And you'll know where you're at on your own twin flame journey based off of how you feel. There's also... So the event is already playing out. Basically, we've already been going through these triggers, which truly began in eclipse season. So the last 3 eclipses really triggered the energy to shift in this direction. And what's happening now is there are certain points that are located on this planet, on the physical solid surface, which are energetic points, and they're being triggered through a reactive response of energy. So energy happening in one location is triggering another location, and this is creating a domino effect. And then this is when we know that there's a specific amount of days before the event takes place. And this is something that's reacting right now, so depending on how things play out in the next 10 days or so, 10 to 15 days, depending on the energy that comes in with these events and how it's triggering other locations to go off right now, then we'll know exactly when. So they could be spread out in between, or they could be like one sets off the other, and then boom, at that point there's a certain amount of days and the event comes. And I'll share more on that. I'm not going to be bullied into sharing. I'm not going to feel like I need to prove myself because someone is attacking me personally because I said I wasn't going to share that information. And especially someone who was like watching my channel openly mentioning my name several times in the past. So that's something that I've noticed. People are very quick to turn and like show their true colors if they're triggered, or show whatever's within them that's being triggered, not necessarily their true colors, because the true color is usually love. So not necessarily meaning that anybody that attacks is evil or intentionally trying to hurt you. Like, I don't even know how to explain it. Some of them are, yeah. Some of them are definitely trying to personally attack you, but it's coming from a trigger within them, because someone who's not triggered won't be attacking other people because they'll be balanced and they won't feel like they need to attack anybody. So that's where you can see it's really easy, it's really simple. What was I gonna say? Twin flames will be dealing with this in different ways. So you'll notice right before your union that there'll be some issues. People will be used in order to attack you, to shift your vibration. Some will be used as vessels and not even know it. Could be family, could be friends, could be coworkers, could be other people in this community, could be people that you don't even really know and just come into your life for some reason. And that's just trying to throw you off vibrationally. That's all it is. Anybody that tries to attack you to send you into a place of hurt or a place of questioning yourself, that is an attack on your vibration. That's trying to keep you in that lower vibration because you're going beyond a certain point. So twin flames that are coming into union, some of you are picking up on these psychic attacks that you're having. And if you stay in your vibration, stay in alignment as much as you can, just watch how things play out. It's not going to go in the favor of the ones that are attacking. So pay attention to how things play out. And I promise you on everything that this is playing out in the way of how you treat other people. So if you're attacking people right now, things are going to come out. This is why things are playing out in the world stage, things that people have done. You're going to watch this play out in the music industry, media, all different like private companies. Larger companies, everything's coming up. People that are attacking others right now, they'll have to deal with the consequences of that energetically. That's why it's important to stay in alignment right now. Don't get reactive. Don't attack another person because you're reacted off of what they've done to you, if that makes sense. Try not to feed into that, because know that there's something feeding off you when you feed off of that, and you're not living that vibration of the heart, and then you're screwing up your daily experience, and you're not feeling good because you're not staying in that vibration of the heart. Some people are really mad right now. They really want to leave. They're mad. They don't like being here. And they're triggered by that. And then there are some people that are at a job that they absolutely hate, and they see you at a job that you love, and that triggers them. Or say you're in a relationship with your twin or your soulmate, and you have this beautiful connection, and there's someone that's in a connection with someone that they're not in love with, and they're desiring to be with their true soulmate or their true twin, but they feel stuck and trapped, then that could trigger them. And you may not even realize it, and they could be projecting those emotions and thoughts at you very subtly, you picking up on that because it's a trigger. Everything's trigger, and everything's reactive, so energy is always reactive. Knowing your environment is important. This is why people are leaving jobs right now. They're leaving locations that they lived in. They're leaving relationships. They're leaving friendships. They're distancing themselves from family that they've been connected with, and connecting with people that are building them up, people that are creating the unity where there was division, and not trying to teach division or not trying to create more division. So you use your discernment when it comes to connecting with certain energies in your life, personally, and especially when it comes comes to your day-to-day experience, what you're feeding your energy to, what you're tuning into. If you are resonating with a certain vibration of a certain person or a certain circumstance, situation, you're staying in that realm of existence, that vibration of thought. And if that vibration of thought is attacking another person, you're feeding into that reactive energy, and then you experience that energy yourself. So it's your resonance that's pulling you into that experience if you're reacting to it, if you're allowing it to trigger you in that way. And then you're resonating at that. So if you're feeding into it, just know that there's something feeding off of you. If you can visualize something feeding off of you when you react to someone else being triggered and attacking you, that will help you to stay balanced and say, no, I'm not going to give my power away to this person or this thing or this being, this entity. I'm not going to allow someone to affect my vibration when I've been working so hard on myself. I'm not going to feel like I need to change anything about myself or I need to prove anything to myself because of someone else's attack. So, especially if you're dealing with like this in your day-to-day life with people that you know, like your family, your friends, your work environment, a soulmate, whatever it is. Some of you are dealing with a twin's karmic, and that twin is doing this to you. They're attacking you. They're projecting things at you because you're starting to step into your power. So they're triggered by you. Or you're feeling balanced in your life and they're triggered by that. Or you're teaching something and they don't understand it, so they're triggered by that. Or it doesn't agree with what they want to experience, so they're triggered by that. Like basically teaching the twin flame thing, and a karmic is triggered because they don't want to experience what you're teaching. They don't want to experience you in union with your twin because that doesn't go with what they want to experience in their own life, in their own reality. So then they'll be triggered and they'll react and project energy at you. As far as activations go, twins are going to be receiving massive heart-opening activations over the next few days. You'll feel this in different ways. You feel a lot of activity in the heart. Could feel like anxiety, a lot of Kundalini activations, and they'll be at waves. So because we're clearing, a lot of people are clearing the energy in the chakras right now, so it'll flow through in waves. So the Kundalini will flow through in waves. If you're struggling right now, you can put in the comments and put that you're struggling. Ask somebody to help you. There are people that will be guided to connect with you, people that will be guided to support you. This channel is about building other people up, bringing people together, understanding why people are reacting the way they are right now, not feeling crazy what you're experiencing. If you feel like you're under attack, you have support here, so don't feel like you are alone. Even if it's psychic attacks, you have support. Ask for help. You have people that work with energy that can help you clear that energy, that can give you tips and guidance, and the right person will be guided to respond to your comment if you're struggling right now. So don't feel like you have to be alone, and don't feel like whatever is attacking you or whatever you're dealing with in your life, whatever circumstance it is going to get the better of you. That whole situation is only temporary. The beings and the ones that are attacking others and creating division will not survive. They will not last. I'm not talking about physically not survive. They're not going to survive emotionally, mentally, vibrationally in the shift that's taking place. Some not physically. Some won't survive physically. It depends on the individual. So reach out in the comments, put those in the comments that you would like help. You're struggling, whatever you want to say, if you feel comfortable doing that. I'll be doing a live meditation on Wednesday, and we'll be doing a heart chakra meditation. And the more of us that are coming together and doing this and building one another up, the more we're increasing the vibration of one another and helping one another during our twin flame journey.
It's like, how many different data points do we need before we're finally convinced that something is going on? Look at this. This is clear magnetic interaction going on in our solar system right now. This is the Earth. Just in case you don't know, you're new to this model. This is what's called the bow shock around the Earth in the magnetosphere. And we can see that this magnetic alignment has also changed in the last week. It went from like almost straight down to now across, again indicating there is some type of magnetic disturbance that's bothering us, bothering the Earth's magnetosphere, and it's out there, man, right? Gotta own your own truth, though, man. You gotta find out for yourself. You gotta be satisfied with what you're learning on your own. Don't take it from me. Don't take it from any of us YouTubers, man. So let's go down here and take a look at the raw data. Here's the raw data, which is incredibly interesting, okay? Ion densities have been off the charts. This is, again, where we get electrical ion. How many different data points do we need before we're finally convinced that something is going on? Look at this. This is clear magnetic interaction going on in our solar system right now. This is the Earth. Just in case you don't know, you're new to this model. This is what's called the bow shock around the Earth in the magnetosphere. And we can see that this magnetic alignment has also changed in the last week. It went from like almost straight down to now across, again indicating there is some type of magnetic disturbance that's bothering us, bothering the Earth's magnetosphere, and it's out there, man, right? Gotta own your own truth, though, man. You gotta find out for yourself. You gotta be satisfied with what you're learning on your own. Don't take it from me. Don't take it from any of us YouTubers, man. So let's go down here and take a look at the raw data. Here's the raw data, which is incredibly interesting, okay? Ion densities have been off the charts. This is, again, where we get electrical ion activity in our atmosphere, causing a very strange, like white sheen during the day in the atmosphere, along with the other stuff that we see. And then we've got the negative solar wind again. They're not changing it. They're not apologizing for it. It is negative. And just to kind of give you an idea of how bizarre that negative solar wind is, let me take you to the solar wind over by, let's just take, I'm going to take solar wind at, let's take solar wind at, I want to take solar wind at Venus. So I'll compare the chart, just the raw data of this chart, right? The raw data on this chart, Venus being closer to the sun than the Earth, is in the positive flow. It's not, notice how it's not negative. It's positive 440, positive 460, etc. You get what I'm saying? So the solar wind at Venus is positive. The solar wind at the Earth is negative. That means there's something pushing on the Earth that's not necessarily affecting Venus yet. It's kind of where I come down on the analysis chart, right? And then finally, one of the data points that we were talking about on the Rex Bear Show today, which I thought was really interesting, that this is kind of new to Rex, is this resignation dashboard. And this is a highly suspicious thing to me, because what would cause so many CEOs and major leaders of the Earth to step down from their posts over the last year? 4125 resignations, and these are Fortune 500, major government organizations. And then if you look at 42 people, only 85 of them got a new job. So they're stepping down and leaving. So one of the things we're going to try to do, and if you guys want to help in this project, let's try to find out where these people are going. The site is www.resignationinfo, and just go check it out, man. And again, this is just one of those other data points that kind of adds up in our Occam's razor analysis, right? And so let's take a look at that real quick. And this is what we looked at on Rex Bear's show. What would Occam say? You know, look at this list. See if make it a little bigger so you can read it. Stop it. Again, all I have got to say to you, you don't have to believe anything I say, but I am in the business of unocculting occulted knowledge. And I think the biggest occulted knowledge there is out there is the Nibiru Planet X phenomenon. And what did Isu Jesus tell us? Jesus said the truth would set you free. And when I look at a list like this and I see all the different things that are going down at one time in the last 10 years, 20 years, all of the things that we're seeing, my question to you is, what would Occam say? Steve Olson, WSL.
Good afternoon. It's been a couple days since I've made a video. I've been going through some things, taking care of some things, helping my sister and my brother-in-law out, and talking with family and just fellowshipping. And it's been important for me to kind of regroup. And in fact, through the course of that, I know that there's no such thing as accidents. And so in that regrouping, I received a call which had a restricted phone number, which I usually don't accept because I don't know who it is that is calling. But something told me to pick it up, and it was a very dear friend of mine who is an actor, Cuba Gooding Jr. And it was a remarkable conversation. We spent about an hour and a half on the phone. And the wonderful part about it is that we haven't had an opportunity to really discuss too much about spirituality or any of the things that we've learned. And so it was a conversation of a great discussion of truth. He's watched some of the videos, and currently he's busy running around the world doing what he does and making films. And but it was terrific to hear from him. We had both of us were obviously, he was one of the stars of the movie, but we made a movie called What Dreams May Come with Robin Williams and Annabella Sciorra, as well as Cuba. And so we got to talk about that and how many truths that are in that movie that we only reflect on now as being truth, but at the time being of the dogmatic Christianity thinking that there wasn't a whole lot of truth in it. And so it was interesting to have this conversation. But this leads me to the point that I wanted to discuss, because for many of us, we don't want to have conversations about things where we're going to receive opposition. So if you're in a church, if you're in a Christian church, let's say you're at a Calvary Chapel and the dogmatic points of view of Christianity are prevalent, then having a conversation with the pastor or anyone in the church that would be an opposing point of view, or even just a question where you say, well, wait a minute, why did this serpent tell the truth in Genesis when he said, you'll know the difference between good or evil? Did he tell the truth or did he tell a lie? You can't ask these questions because immediately you're cast out as a heretic or some other name. So again, this points to the system that we are all intended to think just like this world. And so when I've spoken to people and I've said, no, you should read this book or that book, or the response that I get from Christians is, why would I ever read this satanic Bible? And I go, well, wouldn't you want to know how they think and how they operate so you could see their works more vividly? Because obviously the enemy is very subversive. So wouldn't you want to know? So this blocking of truths and accepting a dogmatic point of view, accepting what you're told and not questioning it, is precisely why this world has the problems that it has. It allows the ruler of the world to dominate everybody's mind when you're not allowed to question it. So I bring this up because I received so many truths at one time that it was almost unbearable. And in receiving these truths, I sought to confirm them because they were just thrown into my mind. And my spirit was soaring with them, but so many of the things that I thought of completely wiped out the traditional forms of thinking of this world, and certainly the traditional forms of thinking of the church itself that I had been a part of my entire life. So I want to read to you something that almost verbatim was given to me. And when I picked up this book, I was astonished at how accurate it was, but not just that, almost every word was the same. And reading this book is what gave me the understanding that there is a consciousness that is outside the ways of this world, that does not meld, does not combine, it does not coalesce with this world. And this all came from a confirmation in reading this book. Now, there are many people that will call this book every kind of name. They'll call it New Age or whatever. I had never heard of this book, nor do I know many people that had ever heard of it. And if they had, they didn't mention anything about it. Now, the funny thing is I've recently learned that this book was attempted to be given to me at a past time, and I completely ignored it. I completely passed it by, and this was many years ago. But somehow this book still found its way into my hands just so I could see this. But it's a good thing that I didn't read it when it was originally given to me, because I wouldn't have seen what I needed to see in it. Now, I'm not going to tell you, just like anything, as you've seen, I'll post a video that from David Wilcock or somebody else in a YouTube video. As long as what they're speaking is truth, I'll post the truth that they're speaking. It doesn't matter to me whether their previous statements or other statements they've made aren't necessarily truthful. I believe that everybody is speaking the truth of their truth. I don't think anybody is out there intentionally trying to deceive you except the rulers of this world and the governments of this world. They're the ones in power. So I'm going to read to you a portion of this book, and you'll probably hear the similarities of the things that I speak. And then I'll tell you the title. And I'm going to change a piece of this to reference Christ instead of the title of this book, just so you'll see exactly what I'm talking about. This is how Christ works. Christ makes a fundamental distinction between the real and the unreal, between knowledge and perception. Knowledge is truth under one law, the law of love or God. Truth is unalterable, eternal, and unambiguous. It can be unrecognized, but it cannot be changed. Now, how many times have you heard me say that very thing? It is something that must resonate in every single thing that you do when you're going through these things, that truth is unalterable. It cannot be changed. So when you find the truth in you, you need to build that as the cornerstone of who you are, that is the truth. It's not because that person told it to you. It's because you might have heard it or seen it or read it, and then you applied it. And then, more importantly than anything, as I was having this conversation with Cuba today, it's evidence that we find. Once we find this truth and we've heard it, we don't believe it is truth until we begin now looking around us and seeing how things act according to that truth. And those things now confirm it as true. So when I say we've been here before on this earth, you begin to look at things in a new way and find evidence that we've been here before. Like the 10-year-old girl that sits at a piano and has never played in her life, never had a lesson, doesn't know anything about it, yet can play a concerto. So this is what I'm speaking of. The evidence of this. Cuba used a wonderful story. He said, like a dog, I got a puppy, and that puppy gave it a bone, and the thing went outside and buried the bone. How did he know to do that? That it's built in. That puppy's probably been here before, we were talking about. So it was a wonderful conversation. But let me continue in reading this, and then I'm going to tell you what book this is. And again, I'm not going to tell you that the entire thing is true, but I've read it cover to cover, and there isn't a whole lot that I would disagree with. It's not a religious book at all. It's a book about you. So, it applies to everything that God created, what I just finished off. And only what He created is real. It is beyond learning because it is beyond time and process. It has no opposite, no beginning, and no end. It really is. The world of perception, on the other hand, is the world of time and of change, of beginnings and endings. It is based on... This book is called A Course in Miracles. And before everybody flips out that believes that this is a New Age book, I highly doubt you've even picked it up and read it. Because that paragraph that I just read to you, if that's all you read in this book, then that is the mind-altering opening that you need to understand everything else you need to understand. So I point you to this book because it became a confirmation of all the things that I had received. And I'm going to be reading more from it as we go. And I've picked up the Nagamadis again, and I've found some things that I want to bring to you very soon here. Myself and Malia are going to be trying to do Red Letter Disciples today. Trying to get our timing on 2 different coasts has been a little bit difficult, and we apologize for that. But we will get to that. I have not gone anywhere. Please know that the path that the Father has me on is not changing. I am here. I will continue to be here. I will continue to speak as long as He tells me to. And that's not going to change. The only time that would change is if He asked me to be quiet for a little while, in which case I would let you know that that were the case. But it's not the case right now. I have much to bring you. I have much to discuss. But time is definitely getting shorter, and this is something that He's also shown me. That we are closing a gap here right now. I believe that everybody out there right now feels this. Now, I don't know what this transition that's coming is going to be. But I assure you that if He tells me, I will bring that to you. But if He brings it to me, as we're speaking of the consciousness of the people that are paying attention to what the Father is saying, then He also brings it to you. Let me just be a confirmation for that. I love you very much, and I'll talk to you tomorrow.
I work in riddles sometimes. Good evening, everybody. Naughty Beaver. I was working on one of my last shows, the most significant thing probably I'll ever do in my life, and my spider senses started to, beaver senses, I guess, started tingling to check out the news. And at first I was actually drawn to this article, which we'll go over in a minute. Trump blaming Canada's lumber industry for fires raging in California. Now this will make you laugh at best. But I realized the real reason that my spider senses were tingling, it was to check the quakes. And it's uncanny because I had already recorded another video picking on Donald Trump, but I actually realized what I should have been looking at because of it's significant on the 8s. The 8 on the 8s. I work in riddles sometimes. It's hard to explain, but 8.2 hit Fiji. Now, the good thing about it is it was at 563 kilometers, so depth that's incapable of... not incapable... If that had hit on the surface, it would have wiped out Fiji completely. So I'm bringing people up to the age that we live in. I know with great certainty now that we are in the end times. I know the great sun in heaven was the great sun in heaven without question. and I know what I have to do and how I need to present it now. The last things have been kind of self-revelations, but I understand. And so I took a moment out, but I had to. Again, it rocks Fiji, but it doesn't look like no damage or injuries, but it was a necessary energy release. That's what's interesting, because I'm getting an understanding. There's other people in the world that are learning too about the patterns and the numbers and stuff like that. It's actually really quite amazing, and everything that is happening is being done for a reason. And so it's not just because God hates us. Is what a lot, they say. There's a lot more to it. It's a lot bigger picture than humanity could ever imagine. And I do know, the dragon is here. There are intruders in our solar system. There are no two ways about it. We are a 4 billion-year-old rock floating in space. Okay, earthquakes are technically never supposed to happen. All things being equal, if the world knew what the world truly was, they would understand that it's actually, and you can believe what you want to believe in this world, but it's our own state of mind that creates these things. That's what's really neat about what's to come in a later age. Now, this made me laugh. You guys, you just gotta watch, see what they say.
Also struggling to cope with massive wildfires right now. They are burning out of control in that state. And today, the U.S. president took a swipe at lumber imports from Canada, saying they are partially to blame for the intense forest fires in that state.
Especially when Canada is charging us a lot of money to bring their timber down into our country. So ridiculous. Here we have it. We're not even talking about cutting down trees, which in certain areas we can do. We're talking about lying on the floor, creating a tremendous hazard and a tremendous fire hazard and death trap.
Those comments defy logic and are clearly not going over well with the Canadian forestry industry and the forest minister. Legislative Bureau Chief Keith Baldry joins us now with more on that. Keith, the reaction was pretty quick.
Yeah, and not surprising at all, Chris. It's true that, timber on the forest floor is fuel for forest fires, but then to make a giant leap and tie it to the softwood dispute with the United States took a lot of people by surprise. But why anybody should be astonished by what Donald Trump has to say on a daily basis is not surprising. But Doug Donaldson, BC's forest minister, was on a conference call with reporters, ostensibly to talk about the wildfire situation. But of course, he was asked about Mr. Trump's comments, and needless to say, Doug Donaldson's less than impressed.
These comments defy logic, and that there's no basis to those comments that we heard from the President of the United States today. The fire situation in California is drastic, but it has no linkages to imports of our lumber.
Is there any scenario where that makes sense?
Not in my mind. The U.S. is one of our largest trading partners, but the amount of wood being brought in wouldn't make a difference.
So the wildfire situation aside, the impact of the tariffs the U.S. has been slapping on BC timber is starting to be felt south of the border. The average price for the cost of building a home has increased by more than $9,000 since those tariffs first took effect, and that price is expected to grow over time. Back to you, Chris.
Passed right on to the consumer as well. Thanks very much, Keith Baldry in Victoria.
It's a comment at the end. It's passed straight on to the consumer. Now, I recorded a show. I deleted it. I went on to thoroughly trash Donald Trump and bring out. If you guys can't see what's happening here, I'll spell it out over time, but I'm going to talk briefly while I have your attention. I gave you guys the date of the return of Satan. With great certainty, because of the galactic alignments and a lot of the Nostradamus prophecies in the Bible, it tells you, 3.5 years, sometime after that, Satan's coming to town. One of the things in the Bible that people look into and they're usually perplexed by is the 3 frogs in Revelation that come out from the beast, the false prophet and stuff. I'm going to show you the passage from Nostradamus where he actually tells me about them. It's right here.
Those at ease suddenly cast down.
Those at ease suddenly cast down. What does that mean when you're cast down? Cast down from where? And you go into Revelation, right? You talk about this, the serpent and his angels cast down from heaven. So that's the important part of what he's saying right there. They're at ease, which means they've been imprisoned in the heavens. They've been cast down.
The world troubled by three brothers. The maritime city by enemies seized. Hunger, fire, blood, plague, evils doubled.
Let me explain something to you right now. Everything we need to know, I'm going to tell you something, is in our stories. I hinted at it the other night on my show, talking about how man would be taught by symbol, sign. The Hopi said when the Kachina returns, they will look to see those who remember the teachings of the ancient ways, symbols and signs. The Hopi have it in their traditional dances with hoops. Things like that, right? They were taught. And in the end times, they're expected to remember certain things because it will be part of the test. That's the really amazing thing. So in Revelation, you have a story about 3 frogs. What happens when a princess kisses a frog in that fairy tale? Oh, the frog turns into a prince. Uh-oh. 3 great princes of the air are cast down. There is their symbol. You're starting to understand the story. The timing, I can't tell you because the Bible, it's part of the Revelation prophecy. And the Revelation prophecy, the more I study it, the more bizarre it is as to its timeline. It almost seems like the scriptures are mixed up. Like it's a choose your own adventure. It doesn't happen in a set order, and probably deliberately to keep the end time scenario, to a little bit of shock and awe. But the fact is, there is more than Satan coming the earth. You got the false prophet, the beast, and out of them springs 3 demons that come onto the earth. I'm going to make a point to the leadership of this world. And that's why I was making light. That's why I said, will this magic helmet protect Donald Trump? That's why I made that story. Because there's no man, woman, child on earth that's going to be above this influence. I gave you the timing of the return of evil. Now, the princes and stuff, what they call the jinn of Islam. Again, I've gone over it on my show, but I ask, and I'm going to pull part of my later show, the significance of a jinn in Islam. They call it a genie. But I asked the question a long time ago, why would Nostradamus paint an image of a genie around the Pope? Because that's what that is. It's the same thing. It's no different. He knew. This is just everything, all the plates of Nostradamus. I'm just going to show you here. I've downloaded all of them. These are all the plates of the last Nostradamus manuscript. The vast percentage of all of these have popes in them. He was a Christian. He could see the future, predicted the Messiah's return. That's the thing, right? So that's why there's such an obsession with popes through the ages. And all the clues we needed to know about the future, the most significant one of all the paintings that he has is this one right here. Do you have any idea what you're looking at in that image? Some do. That's the ultimate evil that's coming to Earth. It's not a man, it's not a woman. It's transgendered. Now, I want you to look at the scale of this being to put it into perspective. It's got everything to do with the unicorn. It's absolutely mind-blowing because I do know the whole story. It's just something I've been burning inside. Is what I'm trying to tell to the leadership of this world. You're not exempt from this. I have a tiny following, and I like it that way. So I'm not interested, in the fame and the glory, because it just makes me a target. But anybody is going to be attacked by this evil. It could make Donald Trump fire at Canada. It could go in and possess Justin Trudeau, make him fire back. Go to Xi Jinping, China. Go to Vladimir Putin. None of them are exempt. That's just, none of you guys have a special helmet to protect against this. And I ask the question, who's watching the watchers? If the leadership of this world does not realize that evil can take them over, what's the world going to do when it does? Does your top 8 know about this? Have they ever read the Bible to understand what's coming? Has the Pope advised you? Because I doubt he has. Why do I say that? Well, it's generally indicated by the pictures that I've been looking at Nostradamus for the last several years. That's the problem. That's what I want the world to understand, because it's the leadership of this world that will be one of the biggest targets, because they got the keys on their fingers on the nukes. And they can possess any man. But that's my question. If the world's not alert to it, they're going to fall for the trap of this crazy rhetoric, these things that people are going to say. And I'm watching it in the leadership of this world. And as I said with evil, it's going to fan the flames of animosity. And the person saying things is not even going to realize it at the time. And, the events are it's amazing how they're going to unfold, but this is what I'm trying to do, is to play Captain Obvious as things happen, to kind of keep, waking up others to point at the reality that they just don't see. I'm that type of person that notices every little detail, right? There's a lot in this world, but we just never have a clue. To them, when they were looking, at this, oh, well, is Donald Trump being Donald Trump? There's a lot more to it. That's the problem. So I just wanted to throw out a few words of wisdom. And like I said, it was a massive earthquake. It won't be the last, but we were lucky considering the depth. It's all in the numbers. That's the amazing thing. It's got these crop circles that people see around the world, the symbols, the signs, the things in the sky. It's all got meaning to a lot of people around the world, and a lot of them just don't realize it. That there's a message just for you out there somewhere, but because you don't think that you're anything special, or it's not my problem, it is, you just don't realize it, because I don't believe there are enough people around the world really awake that should be. They can be unraveling a lot of pieces in this puzzle for others and waking up more. So be attentive to your surroundings. Just there's certain things in the sky, in space. There is a comet with our name on it coming to Earth. We might never see it. They might create a space fleet and blow up every rock within 1 trillion miles magically out of nowhere. That one you missed in the dark, it's got our name on it. There's nothing you can do to cheat that fate. This last time is about self-discovery, atoning for your sins, right? Forgiveness. That's what the point is we have 6 years left to do it. It's a big part of the thing. It's know thyself. It's part of the test of life. So it's a bit of advice, I guess, as small as it be, but I'm busy working on my shows. I just had to kind of get that in there. But, the world's getting weird. And I said it on my show last night, what's it going to take? What number do you need to see of anarchy around the globe before you're going to realize that this is our time? No matter how the media portrays it to you, it's the same media that sells you Roundup. You know what I'm saying? It's the same media that tells you this, tells you that. We only have our prophecies in the scriptures. That's the only media you should be following. That was my mistake for the longest time, because I believed in the power of the prophecy. We can avert certain things, but that's entirely, not entirely, it's got a big chunk to do with the leadership of this world, realizing what's coming and how the biblical timeline is accurate, and take steps accordingly to avert disaster. Like I said, with Donald Trump, How far is he going to go before people, would realize it's out of control? It's completely inappropriate. It's tearing apart the world. I used to get a kick watching Donald Trump, forever, WWF, and, seen some wild things, but this isn't Hollywood. This is life. Politics, it's just, you spew across the border spews back. You raise taxes, you fight this, you fight that. That's exactly what Satan wants. That's the problem. It's the age of turning the other cheek. It's that quality of Jesus that the world should have picked up on 2,000 years ago, but apparently didn't get the message. I think the next time he comes, I get the point. It's not going to be turning the other cheek. Terrorizing planet Earth. Much as I giggle, but, you got to make light of life. What are you supposed to do? I spend my quiet time looking inward at my, if you know thyself, then you will know thy sins. If you don't know thyself, you won't know what you've done wrong. Everything from the ego to your addictions, is you look inwards and just, okay, how did this affect other people? How did this do? If God is thought and thought is God, at least if you're thinking and looking inwards at your own life and reflecting, it's a form of acknowledgement of your problems, and you can ask forgiveness for it. Now, I'll give you an example. I'll give you one of my own, one that I never realized for the longest time. I'd come off a date, and we went out for like a morning after breakfast, and a homeless guy opened the door for my girlfriend and I. And I was like, oh, here we go. And he said, hey, buddy, you have $100,000 on you. And I had actually won money at the casino the night before, and I pulled out the wad, and I said, I kind of flashed up, said, I only got $10,000 on me. Sorry, I can't help you out. That's my horrible sense of humor and girlfriend laugh. I never realized, what that made another human being feel like. I was probably starving. It was just taking a moment to reflect on the self. Like, all the things that you've done wrong in your life, I'm willing to tell you, willing to bet you that you have a really good memory of them, because there's that, that thing tapping on the shoulder going, hey, dipstick, what are you doing? You know that because they stick with you. When you might not agree that you did wrong, but for some reason you have such a vivid memory of that particular event because it's telling you something that you've got to change this. And it's got to do with why we're on Earth in the first place. I'll incorporate the answer into my last shows. That's him, ladies and gentlemen. If you think I'm kidding in any way, shape, or form, Nostradamus explained it beautifully. Not the Bible, to some degree. But it's this one image that humanity needs to fear. Let me put it into... see if I can find it. Here. Okay. So very impressive animal cruelty. But I'm going to put something into perspective to you. Here's this man. Here's a horse standing on its hind legs. This is a sitting deity. Do you have any idea how big this thing is? It's the androgen. That's what will ultimately head the Vatican. It was not in the Bible, and I told you it is in the rabbinic texts. That's the ultimate being, I suppose, in its time. If it is correct, that's what you will see. Anybody's ever called me the Antichrist, so you wait till you see what this thing's going to start doing to you around the planet. That's my point. Look at the scale. So imagine, like it's something that could dwarf a horse standing somewhere up in here. That's what it means when Nostradamus was saying, the gods making it appear to humans they're offering the Great War. In the time when it happens, that these things are coming to earth of this thing. And it will ultimately try to usurp God's power. And that's what the Bible talks about, the mark of the beast. That's the problem. It's a complex but incredibly simple subject. I mean, look at this. This is not a little baby. And the symbolism behind the unicorn. But I got to show you something else. While I got up, I'll give you a little explanation about something. Why I say to look into the next life. There are those that believe it, there are those that don't. Nostradamus, in this image right here, do you know what he's implying? You see the lion? You see, if you count, there's 11 sheep. And this is actually referencing the 12 tribes of Israel. And the 144,000 of the witnesses of Revelation. They are being called. They will be called in the end days. That's what I'm telling people. The calling is here. Everything about the image is really amazing, but these things are so hard to find on the internet because they've all been censored, modified, cut, clipped. You see how they're missing something. There's always, it's the dove, the baptism, because these are the 144,000, and they are receiving a calling across the planet from the Lion of Judah and to Christ. That's the interesting part. But again, the message is getting cut off. This is what people don't understand. Right? Always somebody, and it's Google. It's the powerful on this earth that don't want people getting the message. That's you think about finding it for yourself. But I'm going to show you the very last two plates of Nostradamus and explain to you the future. What you see in this image, a little bit blurry. I'll let you look for a second. Do you see what looks like a post-apocalyptic world? Everything dead. Do you see, men hunting for food, starving, men hanging themselves? What this is the end of the age of man. That's the image right there. This next picture, like everything seems to go missing on my desktop. It's bizarre. When I'm working on these shows, like I've been doing this all afternoon, and these images just vanish of the most critical things. They're always just disappearing, like they've never existed. I probably have it in here in my downloads. This is why I'm lucky to have a photographic memory, because I can remember what's missing. It's right here. This is Nostradamus' image. This is the Archangel Gabriel. And this was the prophecy of For storms will rage and oceans roar when Gabriel stands on sea and shore, and as he blows his wondrous horn, old worlds die and new be born. Nostradamus saw the same image of the future. That's Gabriel standing on sea and shore. Old world die and new be born. This will happen in our age. So the prophets, the seers of this world all saw the same thing. The Bible tells you the same thing. And it's a part of the events. That's what's really, really wild. So, you know, for them to all see the same events, what that means is that is the true word of God. If the Bible says something in terms of a timeline and no other prophet or seer in the world can corroborate that story, the chances are that's not what God said. That's not the biblical timeline. That's not the true timeline. And this is a lot of people, they look for every little word that they think is going to be exactly as it was foretold. If it was the case, a prophet is a prophet is a prophet, that they should be able to see other different common themes around the world. And that's what I will remind people of, that when Nostradamus or say Mother Shipton or Islam or the Buddhists, when they all have the same type of event and it's identical, you know, that's to me is incredible evidence that was the true word of God as to what is going to happen. And that's the interesting thing about it. But the last picture, what I will show you, because that's the end of the age of man. And actually, I want to bring up a miracle. And I'm going to show it, I'll prove it to you, what I'm saying. Pope Francis performs half miracle after dry blood of saint liquefies in his presence. Pope Francis has been credited with performing a half miracle after the blood of a saint hundreds of years old liquefied in his presence. During a mass in Naples, the 78-year-old was given a vial of dried blood of Saint Gennaro, the Italian city's patron saint who died in the 4th century. After the 266 pontiff kissed the sealed glass ampoule, it incredibly began to turn into liquid. Cardinal Crescenzo Sepe declared to a cheering crowd that watched the moment that Pope Francis had performed a miracle. He said, "It is a sign that Saint Girano loves Pope Francis. Half the blood turned to liquid." Half. The Argentine leader of the Catholic Church seemed surprised by the Cardinal's announcement and took hold of the microphone afterwards to make a joke. And I quote, "The bishop said the blood is only half liquefied. It appears the saint only loves us halfway." We have to convert ourselves to more good. I gotta correct the Pope and take him down a peg. You think I could do it? The next age, the new age, when it comes. Oh, that's gonna get old. So my image is disappearing. Oh. Unbelievable how these things just vanish. Like I said, like they never existed. Beginning to get an understanding of why. I'll look at my hard drive again. There's only one picture. Actually, here it is right here. The new age is the age of the feminine. The age of man is finished. When the new age comes, it will be the age of the feminine. That's why half the blood never liquefied. It's the end of the age of man. Half the blood is woman. Half the blood is man. And Nostradamus, curiously, in his obsession with the popes, was telling me of the significance of that event. There it sits. What's significant in that picture typing's just getting on me. Pope Francis ditches red shoes. Right? You see this Pope? The black shoes. All the other popes, red shoes. When you look through the images, red shoes. The black shoes of the black pope. The interesting part is he's not the black pope. He's not supposed to be. The Vatican, like, this is how complex and crazy this is, and you're like, what? Do you see Jesus here? This is the Lamb. Does he not look a little perplexed about evil in the church? In this image, okay? This is the amazing part. The dove is the Holy Spirit, the symbolism around these things. This has got to do with the end times, but here's the amazing part. You see, when you look at the Antichrist and no shoes, but I'll show you why the significance. No shoes. It's really, really wild. So it's such a great story. I don't like doing it piecemeal, but I want to, in case I die or something, I just got to get a little bit out there. The red shoes again with an older pope. It was easy to tell through the ages which popes he was referring. I mean, unless this is a 15th century interpretation of the Pope-mobile, like, it was a guy on a horse, right? So it's obviously nobody significant to our time. It doesn't take a rocket scientist to figure it out. The Pope-mobile is the Pope-mobile. So I had gone through the ages and all the images, but so many of these images have been altered, and I'll show you. I've shown you guys before. This is the prime one, and it's right here. This is the rapture. And it was all I could see on the internet and find. The problem, my friends, is whoever put that picture out there on the rapture had reversed it. Because there it is. This is the true original. See the tombs? They're backwards. See this? The wheel, the spoke that's out, it's backwards. The sun faces the east. The sun faces the west. This was done deliberately to throw people off the trail of the truth, because if I didn't know this image, I wouldn't be able to tell you the time of the rapture. Because it's in that image. Yet some reason somehow altered, thrown onto the internet, made first thing you'd find visible by guess who? Google. Do you see the bigger picture of the deceptions in this world? Why this is not the Black Pope? It's a deception against man. Let me just see if I can bring it up. Maybe I'll just save that for the video. I don't want to give too much away. The problem is the Black Pope is not to come onto the scene until a given time. They've actually changed the identity of the popes in chronological sequence. Because Pope Francis is a lot pudgier. That's the interesting part. I gotta show you guys, for those that never seen my older shows, if you don't believe in the power of Nostradamus, just how accurate that he was. Pope John Paul II is an assassination attempt. Wednesday, the 13th of May, 1981. The Pope was shot and wounded by Mehmet Ali Agca. Mehmet, I guess is his name. He's a Turk. One of the few people in the world to know this. There's a few. The date of the assassination was the 13th of May, 1981. January, February, March, April, May, the 13th. Assassination attempt on the Pope by a Turk. This is the Turkish helmet. He did not die because of the hand of God. That's why when I looked into these, for me, I don't know how or why, I just know to look, I know exactly how to find the symbolism in these things. But he was correct. He gave the date. He doesn't have to write it in the numbers, it's in the signs and symbols, the significance of things, right? For this reason, I know because of that accuracy that I could probably look into the significance of the accuracy of the popes, because they're leading 1 billion people in this world. We have a right to know what they're up to. So I'll leave the show with that. Love you guys lots. Talk to you later. Naughty Beaver out.
Was given 20th. Hundreds gathered on Orleans Avenue near the Joker's Wild and Mickey's Playhouse.
Hi, good afternoon. I wanted to bring something up that was put on my heart today, and that is the voice of the Father. Because I get a sense that many of you that have heard from the Father and received messages, that all of a sudden, sometimes those messages seem to get turned off. And that, in a way, it feels like the Father went away. And I know that feeling, and I know that it can feel extremely lonely, and that maybe you might not be doing what you're supposed to be doing. Now, I'm not going to tell you that that isn't the case, because I don't know the specific case for each one of you, obviously. But I can tell you this, is that when I have experienced that before, it took me a while to figure it out. But sometimes the Father simply stops talking because He's given you a message that you have yet to pay attention to. And so when you feel like you're stuck in a rut, He's already given you the instruction on how to get out of that rut, but you've missed it. And so He's not going to give you further instruction on where to go because you're still in the same place. Sometimes He's given you some things, He's told you to look. And so sometimes He'll stop talking to you so you pay attention to what's going on around you. And you pay attention to the things with the eyes that He's given you and the ears that He's now given you. Because what He needs in you is leadership. That doesn't mean that you have to stand out there like I do and scream it from the mountaintops. But leadership can also be a quiet leadership. Sometimes just walking and having people walking behind you is leadership. You don't have to say a thing at all. If they're following the way that you walk, then you are that leader. So when the voice of the Father quiets down, the one most important thing for you to recognize is that it isn't something that you've done badly. It's simply something that you need to listen to and pay attention to. Now, we usually get down on ourselves because that's what the accuser within us also does. So the voice of the Father quiets down, and it's now the enemy has the opportunity to be heard and simply says to you, you know God's not talking to you anymore because you're this and you're that. And he'll start speaking to you in your own voice and convincing you that you're not worthy of the Father's voice, and that's why he's not speaking. Nothing could be further from the truth. The Father doesn't change his activities because you aren't doing what you're supposed to be doing. He simply allows things to happen so you might see what he needs you to see. Father is the master of all of these. Christ, being the master of these lessons, has spoken all of these things to you. Elijah the prophet, he found the quiet whisper of the Father. So sometimes you can't hear the Father's voice because you're too busy with yourself, and you're too busy with your own voice and screaming at what you think you know. So I found that the best way to find the Father is to back up into humility always. Start with the I know nothing. Because sometimes we get stuck in the rut because we think we know something. And that something seems to strap us to a specific belief or a specific idea. Pay attention to the words that you say, the I and me and myself, and you'll start to find that you've gotten very involved in the truth rather than allowing the Father to speak the truth into you. It's also very important, as I've said, that the things that I speak of and the things that I tell you, that you go find these truths on your own as well and have them redefined so they are your truths and not mine and mine alone. Man is corruptible, and that doesn't mean that I will be corrupted. But man is corruptible because also you can be corrupted. I've seen many people fall away because somebody's lies has convinced them that I'm not worthy of listening to and that the things that I'm speaking of aren't the Father's. And so that one person's statement can influence them and corrupt them. And then they ignore the truths that I've spoken because they never accepted them for themselves. They accepted them as though I owned them and I was giving them to them. These equations, these tiny little simple ways that we do things are so super critical. How you receive something and how you give something is the most important thing that you can pay attention to. Everything you receive, how did you receive it? What was the motive behind giving it? What was the motive behind you receiving it? So all of these things, when I speak of taking every thought captive, this is what I'm speaking of. When I speak of taking every word captive, this is also what I'm speaking of. So if somebody gives you something, you need to evaluate the motive by which you are receiving it. Because what are you going to do with it? What are you thinking that you'll be able to accomplish with it? This is again yet the ring that people see, and they want that ring because the ring is power. It's ultimate power. Now what would you do with that ultimate power? Well, in us, mankind, we think, well, we would only do good with that power. But the reality is, everybody that obtains ultimate power in this world does, in the name of good, incredibly evil works. That's why a hobbit, somebody so simple, so humble, and so much smaller than everybody else, not a man at all, but that humble, flat-footed spirit within you that only wants to dance, sing, and garden. So if you want to have these things, first receive them in that humble spirit. Become the hobbit. Become Frodo carrying these things. Don't have a motive behind them. Don't be so interested in showing it to somebody else. Let them first see it in you and let them ask about it. And then you can show them how it's changed your life. That's your testimony, and that's why these testimonies are so powerful. So I wanted to give you this quick word today and let you know that that voice of the Father that seems to be quieted up for the past few days for many of you, I can feel it, and I can see it out there. And it feels like darkness is crouching upon you. Well, sometimes that's actually necessary. It's necessary to be able to see the dark sometimes in order to find the things that are hidden within it. The truth hides in dark places. This is why you have to shed the light on the truth, because it doesn't exist in the light, it exists in dark places. So when some people ask me why I wear black, I usually try to respond with something more humorous and say, that's so when I go into the dark places to find truth, that they can't see me. So I love you very much, and I just wanted to leave you with this word today.
For just $59, Ancestry DNA can open you to a world of new cultures to explore. With 2 times more detail than any other DNA test, you can get a new taste of your heritage. Only $59, our site's lowest price ever.
Hi everybody, it's Steve Olson with WSO. Hope you're having a great day. Listen, make sure you check out Leak Project. I did a great interview with Rex. It should be up here pretty soon. It's not already. Excuse me. And we had a great interview, guys. You got to check it out. And it's just good to get caught up with Rex again and see how he's doing. And good afternoon, everybody. It's Steve Olson with WSO. It is August 20th, 2018. Just making sure I got my date right. I got you over at Blue Kool-Aid, oh yeah. Now, what we're looking at is, obviously, if you're part of this community, you've heard about the Fiji earthquake, this deep earthquake. Dutch Sense has been talking about it, BP Earthwatch, who, by the way, BP Earthwatch and I might disagree on stuff from time to time, but I love him, man. I love him, and I love Dutch Sense, okay? So I don't care if they disagree with me. I use their information, I look at their information, and I love both of them, okay? Especially Dutch Sense as it relates to earthquakes. One of the things, though, I'm not sure they picked up on yet, because I haven't looked at Dutch Sense, but Blue Kool-Aid Oh Yeah channel, I've been pointing this channel out the last couple days. This guy has been one of the great backup researchers for WSO, and I love him. But he actually did some magnetosphere reaction analysis during the time of the Fiji earthquake, and I thought we'd listen to what he has to say about it.
It is roughly 10 minutes before the earthquake hit. Okay? I don't think this is a coincidence. I think this possibly could have been either the straw that broke the camel's back on the pressure that has been building up around the Earth, or the earthquake itself kind of caused our magnetosphere to kind of, our magnetic stuff around the globe to kind of go crazy a little bit. I'm not sure. I'm just observing stuff and I'm reporting it. So here you go. Anyway, there's 145. Look at this. Okay. 149. And if you look at that, guys, it's almost like it's pulling. Okay. Something's pulling our pole lines out. That's what the black lines are. Those are our polar lines. So if our polar lines are getting stretched and pulled like that, what do you think's happening to the Earth itself? We're trying to stay in, the Earth itself is trying to stay in an orbit, but we're getting pulled on. So, you know, you pull on something, the crust is going to move. You know, the core may stay in the same spot, but the crust is going to move. And what a lot of people don't understand is that the crust, you know, we got a liquid center to our globe, to our Earth. And what we're standing on is actually floating. It's not, it doesn't go all the way to the core. So when we get pulled on by something, it's going to move that crust.
And I think that was a great explanation. Go check out the rest of his videos. I mean, he's doing fantastic analysis on ISWA and all this stuff and watching it hour by hour, day by day. But right at the point of the earthquake, we see this enormous electrical pressure pulling on the Earth. And I think he explained it really well. I mean, there's a lot of debate as to the ins and outs of all that stuff, but for the most part, I think he's spot on with what he's saying. So go check out Blue Kool-Aid. Now, the reason I wanted to set you up with this is because we're seeing a phenomenon today that we want to keep an eye on as a community, and that has to do with this. Now, this is the chart that we show all the time, right? But where I want to take you is to the raw data, and this is something I have never seen before, and maybe others of you that have watched this maybe have seen it before. But there is some intense electrical energy going on around the Earth that could precipitate more geological activity. I'm not trying to predict an earthquake. I'm just saying that the conditions are right for it. Strong solar or whatever wind this is, because it's negative, it possibly could be coming from behind the Earth. I'm not going to sit here and say I'm absolutely sure of everything, but I will tell you that this energy level, though, 1 million kiloteslas for a period of about, I don't know, a couple hours, and now it's starting to reduce again. That's got to have some kind of an impact on the Earth, man. There's going to be some type of a situation that's going to develop from this, in my opinion. Now, that's just my speculation. Again, I might be completely wrong, but I'd be watching the earthquakes pretty close right now, and we can see that earthquake activity has been building in and around Indonesia and in the Himalayas too. And we're going to talk about that for 1 second, but I'm just saying that amount of energy on the Earth right now it blows my mind, guys. 1 million kiloteslas. That's a lot of energy, man. So we're going to see what the Earth does with all that in the next 24 hours. Okay? But keep an eye. I'd say that we've got to watch on for weird electromagnetic geological activity. And I think that I'm not the only one saying that too, right? So there we go with that. So just keep an eye on those earthquakes today. The next thing I wanted to look at, though, is I've been monitoring now the highest point on the Earth, obviously, is the Himalayan mountain chain, okay? And we have other places in the Earth that also have large, kind of high altitudes. But the electrical I'm suspecting some strange activity over. I've been monitoring this for the last couple of weeks. And you say, well, what's unusual about your observation there? Well, let me change this to Fahrenheit. It's 41.2 degrees at 500 microbars, which means, let me translate that for you, okay? And this is, any pilot that's worth their salt is going to know what I'm talking about when I say the next thing. If I look at this table tells me what the altitude and the average temperature should be approximately when you're at that 500 millibars, which is about 18,000 feet or 5,500 meters. I should be seeing negative 6.3 or negative 21.3 Celsius. And what I'm seeing, guys, is I'm seeing 41.2, which is a 30 degrees off of what it should be. What is that telling me? What it's telling me is the electrical energy that's being generated around the Earth, especially from this most high point on the Earth, is creating heat. And if it's creating heat here, it's creating heat other places. Okay, so now let me just back up here a little bit. But this is the anomaly. Look at these two little dippy dips, okay? Now these are certain, you can see the cyclonic activity around them, but in the same way we're seeing that very strange temperature at a very, you know, where it shouldn't be, at a very high altitude. So take that for what it's worth. Next thing I wanted to show you guys, and this has to do with the lightning that's been going on over Italy, and we're getting more and more photographs. The next photographs I'm going to show you are from Alex Lujan's Planet X channel, and he's got a person in Italy that's been passing some photographs on to us. So first I want to point out his video, and then I'm going to take some of the pictures he shared with me today. And this is bizarre. And again, this goes back to that high amounts of electromagnetic energy that we're dealing with as the Earth right now. But look at it, almost appears that some objects appeared from those photographs that we've been taking from Italy. And I'll show you the lightning report here in just a second. And it is incredible stuff, man. Look at this. Look at this. Look at this. Oh, just crazy, right? And we've been looking at this footage for the last couple of days. And that's fresh footage that Alex got just from yesterday. Let me remind you that we're still seeing that very strong electrical pattern over Italy. It has gone unabated over the last 3 or 4 days. Now it's starting to go down a little bit. Let's take a look and see if the cloud cover. So the cloud cover makes a little bit more sense. But that lightning over Italy, over that area that we just took those photographs, has been persisting. And again, I count it to all the electromagnetic energy that's happening around the Earth right now and how intense that is. Check out this Facebook post from Natalie 9280, and she actually was outside Friday morning around 6:40 a.m. She looked outside and she actually saw and photographed 3 suns. I'd like to see it all in one frame, but again, we're seeing all of this activity happening around us. And what good is it to know it all unless you take an eternal perspective? Because a temporal perspective, you're going to be in fear. If you see this stuff and the only thing you've got is this life in this body in this time, then this would cause fear, because you know clearly this stuff is going to affect the Earth, it's going to affect people's lives, etc. So if you look at it from a temporal point of view, you know, versus an eternal point of view, you're going to have fear. So I'm encouraging you to start to take an eternal. This is just an idea for you, right? I'm asking, and I've been talking about this a lot, is try to develop an eternal vantage point from all this. This is all temporary or temporal. Everything we're experiencing is temporary. It's in a life, death, decay cycle. Is there an eternal alternative that you can tap into? At WSO, we think there is. We think there is. And just kind of flip through a couple of different ones here. But then, did you know that there's more than one moon orbiting the Earth? Again, this is in that area of stuff I didn't know, all right? So a mini moon has been orbiting our planet for about 100 years. And again, I go back to this stuff has been going on for a long time. This isn't something that just snuck up on us. It's been happening since the turn of the century, as evidenced by the electromagnetic. That's why I've gotten out of this panic thing, guys. As a science person and looking at this and experiencing this, I've predicted so many wrong things, and I'm not going to do it anymore. We really don't know what's going to happen. But it behooves us all to know what's happening and analyze it so that we get smart enough so that when things do happen, we are hopefully smart enough to give advice about it. But right now, we don't know what's happening. But all I'm saying is, well, this is awkward. This is the story. Earth's relationship with the moon is not a monogamous one. Scientists identified a second mini-moon orbiting our planet in 2016 that's probably been around for about 100 years. This second moon looks to be recently captured asteroid, and like a mistress, its subtle dance with the Earth may be fleeting, only sticking around for a few centuries. And again, this is those objects coming in and out and in and out kind of thing, right? And so basically, they detail the path of it, blah, 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 and you can go check that out yourself. But again, these are things that we thought there was one moon. Now all of a sudden there's another moon. We thought that there were 67 planets orbiting Jupiter. Now it's up to like 80-something. Right? So it's like all of these things are slowly changing underneath us like that frog in the water. And I just don't want these things to be taking you by surprise. Have a plan. have a plan to meet up with your loved ones and just know where to meet so that you don't get lost from each other if the grid goes down, things like that. Just common sense things that you need to take into consideration as we continue to research this together as a team. And again, don't forget to check out Blue Kool-Aid's channel when you get a chance. Guys, I have so much stuff right now, I don't even know what to talk about anymore. That's how much stuff is coming in right now. And I just want to reassure you that Steve Olson is not afraid. Steve Olson is absolutely wonderfully working towards his eternal perspective. Steve Olson is trying to heal on the inside those hurts and those wounds and trying to work through that stuff with the Bobby Maverick channel. And if you haven't gone to see Relentless Maverick and go start with that class on denial and brokenness and things like that, you need to go check it out, guys. I've been getting great help from it, and I'll be doing a video with Bobby pretty soon to talk about that. But before we go, let's see what the updated SWS is all about. Let's just check those levels one more time. I'm keeping a really close eye on it. Yeah, that energy level was super high, and that's got to go somewhere, guys. It's got to go somewhere. All right, Steve Olson, WSO, ton of stuff to show you guys. I might be doing a live show later today. Stay tuned. I don't know what to really do with all this information I've got. Maybe I'm just going to just bust it out and show it to you guys. I think that may be the way to do it. I hope you're all doing well. I hope you had a great weekend. Listen, really, no fear, man. Really, honestly, there's nothing to be afraid of. Steve Olson, WSO.
Monday, August 20th, 6 p.m. Mountain Time, 2018. Guys, we've got an update on Hurricane Lane. We talked about this hurricane a couple of days ago as being an overachiever, or at least a potential overachiever. These are storms that I recognize that have potential and are in the right conditions to become significant hurricanes. And this one is holding true to form. It's been upgraded once again to a Category 4. I don't think it'll go any higher than a Category 4, but you never know. It was a
Good afternoon, everybody. Steve Olson with WSO. It is August 20th, 2018. Just making sure I got my date right. I got you over at Blue Kool-Aid, oh yeah. Now, what we're looking at is, obviously, if you're part of this community, you've heard about the Fiji earthquake, this deep earthquake. Dutch Sense has been talking about it, BP Earthwatch.
Right now.
Who, by the way, BP Earthwatch and I might disagree on stuff from time to time, but I love him. I love him, and I love Dutch Sense, okay? So I don't care if they disagree with me. I use their information, I look at their information, and I love both of them. Okay, especially Dutch as it relates to earthquakes. One of the things, though, I'm not sure they picked up on yet, because I haven't looked at Dutch, but Blue Kool-Aid, oh yeah, channel. I've been pointing this channel out for the last couple days. This guy has been one of the great backup researchers for WSO, and I love him. But he actually did some magnetosphere reaction analysis during the time of the Fiji earthquake, and I thought we'd listen to it.